What's up, everybody? Welcome to the live stream. Took us forever to get here. Sorry about the poor quality. We had an amazing background outside in nature with the pool and the trees, and then the connection got lost, and then we've had a whole bunch of issues. So, welcome to the live stream. If you've got any questions, just let me know in the comments. Please just look out for spamming and spamming emojis and stuff because there's been a problem with YouTube live streaming where they've been blocking accounts. So just keep your questions short and I'll see if I can answer them. So I'll tell you a bit about my thoracic outlet syndrome story and how I started. It was about 2015 when I was doing exhibitions and signage and branding, and I started losing a lot of muscle atrophy. I had muscle atrophy in my hand, and my thumb became weak, and I was dropping a lot of things a lot of the time, and I didn't pay attention to it. But what started happening is I started getting very tired in my left arm very quickly, and I really had no idea what it was. So boiled down to a point where one day I woke up and my arm was blue, my arm was numb, and it was extremely tight and sore. And I was really worried. Like my arm was completely numb, and the swelling, it was swelling up. It was blue. It had no pulse. So I went to the doctor. He couldn't find a pulse, so he was worried and referred me to an orthopedic surgeon. The orthopedic surgeon did a few tests and certain movements that you do to see compression, and told me that it was thoracic outlet syndrome, but I had to go to a vascular surgeon. The vascular surgeon tried to find a pulse, couldn't find a pulse at all, told me that I need immediate surgery to remove my top rope and that I need to go for an angiogram. And then we scheduled the angiogram, and then in the same sentence, he told me that his patient the day before almost died with the angiogram because they go through your groin and through the artery. So I decided against the angiogram. And I thought to myself, they're just going to cut out my top rope, and all the people that I talk to and all the support groups, everybody struggles, and a lot of people that have surgery still struggle after the surgery. And then from the first rib resection, they have a pec minor release or the scalene block, and it just seems like an endless cycle. Once one side is sorted out, the next side starts flaring up. So I was learning so much about the human body and learning about my injuries that I started studying further. And as I was studying and learning, I decided to take a course and study biomechanics and exercise science to learn exactly how the body works, how the compression in the brachial plexus functions, and what exactly happens. So, obviously, there are severe cases where you got such bad compression in the nerves and the arteries that you can develop blood clots because the brachial plexus compresses, and that's where all the blood flows and arteries come out of your neck right down into your arm. So, it can be very dangerous. So once you get all those things clear that you don't have blood clots and the compression isn't that severe that it's causing a blood clot, you can do all these other things. So I decided I'm not going for the surgery, and I thought I'm studying. I'm going to try to figure out what the best options are to recover, and I took it from there and started recovering. It was a long journey. So that was 2015, 2016. I started studying and went to the vascular surgeon. Took me the entire 2016. By the end of 2016, I had zero compression. I went for a Doppler ultrasound where they checked the blood flow through the veins and the arteries, and I had zero compression. So it wasn't easy. It wasn't like I just did all these movements and I was fully recovered. It's very up and down, and I could certainly feel that I have a weakness in my scapula and a few other things like winging of the scapula where the stabilizer muscles are a little bit weaker due to all the compression and the incorrect movement. And obviously, the build up in your lifestyle and your job and what you do on a daily basis, sitting at a desk, head forward, looking down at a phone, all these things add, and all these things can cause thoracic outlet syndrome and can cause winging of the scapula or frozen shoulder. There's a whole list of things. So it's not like you're going to just recover, or if you go for surgery, you're just not going to have fully functioning scapulas and your scalenes are going to be fine. You're still going to have those issues. So whether you have the surgery or not, you're still going to have to work on those issues on a daily basis and keep those muscles loose and supple. And you'll just see that over time, you'll have less flare ups and you'll feel a lot better a lot more of the time. So I've got a few questions that I'm going to cover. These are the really, really common questions that I see a lot of the time on the Thoracic Outlet Syndrome forums. So what's one of the questions there?
Does anyone else have difficulty breathing sometimes?
Okay, so this is a really common question. Breathing gets affected, and my left lung was affected with my TOS because nothing is working properly. So how it starts is you're using your scalene muscles and your pec minor for secondary respiration. So when you're running, you need an extra bit of air, and those muscles take over. So we all do this, and we're all breathing correctly with our chests, and this uses the scalene muscles and the pec minors. So when you're sitting down, not doing anything, these muscles are flaring up, and it's using the incorrect muscles to breathe. So you'll find that when you're doing nothing, you're still having a flare up. So you have to do diaphragmatic breathing. Diaphragmatic breathing not only helps take the pressure off your scalene muscles and your pec minors, it also helps get deeper breaths. So you'll find, like I was only using the top part of my lungs when it was tested. My right lung was I was blowing out enough air. My left one I wasn't sucking in enough air because I was just using I was using the wrong muscles to breathe basically. And when I was taking deeper breaths, it was burning all the way down. Like it started working properly, and the looser my muscles got, the better my diaphragm got, and started moving my rib cage correctly. That's when things started working, and it started, like, you get a rush of oxygen to your brain and you feel like you're a lot better. So diaphragmatic breathing is really one of the main keys in getting your breathing right, getting enough oxygen, because as you know with TOS, it feels like someone's grabbing your neck, not getting enough air, and you feel dizzy and horrible. Terminax started getting muscle spasm at the base of my skull. Any idea? That's probably the sternocleidomastoid muscle. So when you're turning this massive muscle here on the top, if you turn your head, you'll feel it's huge, and it attaches to the base of your skull and attaches to your clavicle. So when this flares up, it feels like somebody's grabbing you because it is one of the biggest muscles in the neck. So you can actually grab it. If you turn, you'll feel it, and you can grab that whole muscle. It's huge. And that spasms up. So when you turn your head and this muscle is spasming, it puts extra pressure on the base of your skull where it attaches to, and you'll feel that it's very tight. So if you turn your head, you'll feel that it's quite tight. If you push your head forward, you'll feel that band of tightness, and you might feel that pressure in the clavicle. So it's called sternocleidomastoid because it attaches to the mastoid at the back of your head, all the way down to the clavicle. And this muscle needs to be softened with massage. So you can do trigger point therapy. I've got a video on the trigger point therapy for this area, but you must just be very careful because you've got arteries running down. So you've got to find the exact spot of the neck. Just look at the anatomy. Don't just go doing trigger point therapy because you don't want to be messing around and pushing on the arteries and stuff. But if you can loosen up the sternocleidomastoid, it will really help. It will take away a lot of the dizziness, the tightness in your neck, and also starts taking away the pressure on your scalenes because the scalenes lay right behind it. And if you can loosen that up, it's a start, because our necks, we don't want to move too much because of the pressure, and you try not to turn too much. So when you do turn, that muscle spasms up. So if you can stretch it, lengthen it, it can really help you.
Next
question.
Has anyone on here ever had any issues with muscle atrophy around the scapula? When I raise my arm and reach forward, it looks like a huge divot at the base of my scapula. I also suffer from shoulder pain and my chest muscles in that same area.
Okay, so pec minor is a huge problem because that's where obviously your secondary breathing comes in, and everyone with TOS has pec minor problems because it attaches to the top of your rib and attaches to 3 ribs at the bottom, and it pulls on your rib cage. So when you're breathing, your rib cage is pulling tight and your pecs are pulling tight. Along with that comes shoulder winging of the scapula, basically, where your shoulder rounds forward and the scapula pulls away. So there is a weakness in the scapula, and this causes scapular winging. It could be atrophy causing the divot, the muscles getting weaker and weaker, and as you're reaching forward, it doesn't your scapula takes the strain and it basically goes away from your body and around your body and doesn't function, doesn't sit in place and just glide as it should. It moves away from your body, and you'll find that your thoracic nerve and all the nerves running through there, it gives you the shooting pain from the front to the back. So it's quite a scary feeling. It feels like your heart is almost doing a jump because you've got this sharp, sudden pain. So scapular winging, I've got a lot of stretches and exercises for that. There's a lot of these steps where you have to work on all the surrounding muscles. So your serratus anterior, that could also be weak, and it's not letting your scapula function and move in the correct positions, and it's just moving all over the place. So I struggle with this as well. My scapula was stuck to my rib cage basically. I had a lot of scar tissue from all the years of TOS. And when I finally got rid of the scar tissue and I got that scapula moving, I didn't have much muscle holding it there, and I had a lot of atrophy in my scapula. And so it just started winging, and you feel like your shoulder's clicking all over the place because there's no stability. It doesn't feel stable at all. So what you got to do is, I've got all my videos that I do on here is not just for thoracic outlet syndrome specifically. It's working around on all those muscles, because you can't just go to the doctor and they cut out the top rib. It's not going to sort out all those other issues that you have. So you probably are having issues with your traps and your neck because you've got bad posture. If you're sitting at a desk the whole day, your arms are out in front of you the whole day. So this puts extra pressure on the scapula, the serratus anterior, your entire back and neck, the stabilizer muscles everywhere. So there's a lot of things to work on when you've got shoulder injuries, neck problems. It could be a whole, like even if you have whiplash or you have tight traps, all of these issues fall into one category where you work on all of them, and it starts working and helping on the other issues that you have. Because our body is a kinetic chain. I say this in so many videos. Anybody that's subscribed probably is sick of hearing that. Because if you have a shoulder problem, I say it like this: if you've got a foot problem, you start walking a little bit funny to avoid that issue in your foot, and that puts extra pressure on your knee. And your knee, when you're walking, your knee is a little bit skewed, and in turn that gives you a hip problem or a lower back problem because now you're not walking properly. And that's the kinetic chain. You've got a problem in your foot, but it works its way up. So it can work its way down as well. From a shoulder injury, your QL muscle, the quadratus lumborum, attaches to the lower rib and it pulls tight. So you'll feel, if you stretch over like this, you'll feel how tight this back band muscle is. And I've got lots of videos on that too. And so if you've got a shoulder problem, you'll feel that your lower back starts hurting because all those muscles get tight because you're probably compensating and walking a little bit up and the one side is shortening. So there's a lot of things to look at. It's not just going to the doctor and they say, okay, cut your top rib out or have a scalene block or a Botox injection. There's a lot of other things. So the more you know about your condition, the better it is for you and the better you can heal, because you can sit at home and say, okay, I'm feeling a bit tight in my lower back. What is that? You can see that as your QL. You can stretch that and you'll feel that you've got less pressure on your rib cage, and it might take the pressure off your pec minor because your ribs are moving a little bit better. So a lot of things.
Does the scapular winging get better after surgery?
Scapular winging after surgery, no, because the surgery, they usually they do a pec minor release. It doesn't affect your scapula at all. It just takes the pressure off the pec minor. If they're doing a first rib resection, they're just cutting out the top rib. Doesn't take the pressure off your scapula. That's a muscle imbalance and atrophy. So what you have to do is focus on the rhomboid muscles, focus on the serratus anterior, a lot of stretching, a lot of shoulder squeezes, which I'm sure everyone's also sick of me saying, shoulder squeezes, squeezing your shoulder blades together, because this pulls your shoulders back, it opens up your chest. It takes that roundness out of your shoulders, because we all have those round shoulders. So when you do that squeeze, you're opening up and you're pulling back. And because your scapula is winging, it's pulling forward. When you do that shoulder squeeze, all those little muscles, all those stabilizer muscles that are pulling the shoulder blade against the rib cage are now contracting, and they're getting stronger because they're learning and rewiring how to stay in a more stable position. So doing a shoulder squeeze not only helps you with your posture and your pain, it also opens up the brachial plexus, opens up your shoulders, and takes away a lot of the imbalances, and it trains those little muscles just to stay a bit more stable. So the more stable you are, the better you feel. Thanks for the tips. No problem. Any other question there?
Any suggestions for sleeping comfortably after surgery?
Okay, sleeping comfortably, whether it's before surgery, if you have surgery, or after surgery, we all know if you struggle with TOS, that sleeping is the biggest problem. So I hardly got sleep. When I was stuck in the house, like my worst time was when I was stuck for 4 months, when I couldn't even leave the house. I didn't even take a step outside because I was in so much pain. I'd get up from the floor and feel dizzy, go straight back to the floor, or go to the kitchen, take my time getting there, get back to the floor. Because sleeping was such a problem. Getting up to the bathroom was a problem. Doing anything was a problem. So sleeping comfortably is one of the hardest things to do. It is possible with a lot of playing around. So what I would do, there's a few tips. Get yourself a proper pillow first of all. And one good thing that I can say that's quite easy is make sure that everything is at 90 degrees. So if you're laying on a pillow, make sure that there's 90 degrees between your shoulder and your head. You don't want to be laying and your head is sinking in, and when you wake up in the morning, you've got this compression. That causes big issues. You don't want to be laying too high either and stretching the whole night, because then it's going to spasm up. So if you can get a pillow that's just the right height for you, it has to be very specific. You have to shop around. You have to feel what feels good for you. And when you're laying on the pillow, you want to make sure that there's 90 degrees between your shoulder so that your neck is open, your brachial plexus is open. All those muscles can relax during the night. You also want to make sure that your arm, your elbow is at 90 degrees, that you're not sleeping on it too far. Just work on 90 degrees. You can pull your knees up 90 degrees. Just keep those 90 degrees so you've got open gaps everywhere between your shoulder blade, your armpit. You can even put something underneath to keep a little bit of a space. And that just opens up all the areas and takes away a lot of the compression. So it's very difficult. It's very tricky. Play around. The next thing that I did was rolling up a towel. Keeping a rolled up towel, you can put the towel between your neck just for that extra support so you're not sinking into your pillow too much. You can put a towel behind you so you're not rolling back, because it's very difficult to get comfortable. For me especially, I can't fall asleep on my stomach or my back. So I could only sleep on my side. And even my right side, I struggle with. I have to sleep on my left side, and that's my TOS side. So the only way I could really fall asleep was on my left side, and that's my problem side. So when I'm laying on it, it felt like a lot of compression and a lot of issues. So it is very, very, very tricky. You just got to play around. A rolled up towel, you can use like 2 or 3 different towels and put one on your head. You can take the pillow away. If you're laying on your back, you can put a towel under just to support your head and your neck. You can put it under in front of you, between your legs. You don't want your legs to be too close together. Put a towel between them, between your knees, to take the pressure off your lower back. There's a lot of little things that you can do, but I was forced to sleep on the floor eventually. I was either on the couch wasn't comfortable. I was eventually on the floor, and basically made the lounge floor my home. I was doing everything from the lounge floor. It got so bad, my atrophy in my hand, I couldn't even draw because I was just drawing to keep busy. I was playing PlayStation. I couldn't hold the remote anymore. I kept dropping it, or my hand would spasm. I couldn't hold the pencil. So it's very difficult. And then lack of sleep, all you're doing is trying to get rid of the pain the whole day, and then struggling to sleep the whole night. So it's just this cycle of not getting better, and your body's not recovering because you're not sleeping enough. Yeah, it's very difficult. But after surgery, I'd say the same thing. Use towels, use soft pillows. You just got to get yourself as comfortable as you can, and keep those 90 degrees. You don't want to be compressing yourself, because we all sleep weird and do weird things in the night. So 90 degrees helped me a lot.
For those of you with NTOS, do you get pain in your lower ribs as well?
Okay, so lower rib pain, you'll probably feel like a stabbing pain, or if you're breathing too deep, it's like, oh wow. That, that's exactly what it feels like.
Oh, wow.
It's like it's like you're plugged into a wall and there's electricity like shooting through you. Whatever. Yeah, so you just read me that question again. I'm getting sidetracked.
Do you get pain in your lower ribs as well?
Oh, yes, pain in your lower ribs. Yes, because that is your QL muscle. So that attaches to your hip, attaches to your last rib. And obviously with compression, everything pulls tighter. So your rib cage is pulling down. So if you have tight hamstrings and tight QL, it's going to pull on your rib cage. And now if you've already got compression between your top rib and your brachial plexus, you can imagine that extra compression. It's like your whole body is just being pulled down by this gigantic force from both sides. So loosening up your hamstrings is a huge, huge thing. Loosening up your QL is like one of the most important things you have to do. So when I started the deep tissue massage, it was so intense because obviously this was before I was studying, before I did my biomechanics. And if you don't know how the body works, you don't know about these stable that awkward moment when the guy reading questions can't stop laughing from the previous question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's
Oh.
fun. So yeah, when I went for my deep tissue massage, it is so tender. The QL is such a deep muscle in your body, and it plays such a vital role. It's for balance, it's for stability. And when that is tight and putting extra pressure on that lower rib, you'll actually feel it. When you're breathing, you can't take those deep breaths. It's holding tight. It feels like something's pulling you down. And when you actually stretch it, and if somebody's doing deep tissue massage or if you're doing self trigger point therapy, you'll feel. I'll put the links in the description if I can, and you'll see that the QL is such a tender muscle. It's really really painful when you're trying to loosen that muscle. You'll feel like I better be careful what I say before you start laughing again. It's really really intense. It's in really intense pain. So getting those loose really it's really beneficial. You'll feel a lot better. I promise you, if you do your first deep tissue massage by somebody that's qualified and knows what they're doing to loosen up the QL, and they get that loose, as sore as it is while you're doing it, if that's loose at the end of it, you'll see that it is such a relief. You'll feel lighter. You'll feel like you could move a bit more, and that helps you because when you're trying to recover and you're trying to twist and loosen up all these muscles and you're tight everywhere, it's difficult getting held back by all these other muscles. So you've got tight serratus anterior, you've got tight QL, you've got tight scalenes, and all these things are just limiting you. You'll feel that when you do a test, so like maybe outstretch your arm or do something, or try touch your toes with straight hamstrings so that you can see how far you can go, and then loosen up these other muscles and do that exact same stretch and see how much further you can go. So loosening up all these surrounding muscles really help you with recovery because it just loosens up your body a little bit more. And maybe that stretch you couldn't do, you can now do because of another muscle that's a little bit looser. So yeah, everything works together. Your whole body works together. We're doing some research. A friend of mine, Leslie, on Facebook, we've been chatting. She's been doing a lot of research into calcium deficiencies. I've been doing a lot of research long ago, as I say in a lot of videos, about magnesium because magnesium causes cramps. Lack of magnesium, 90% of the whole population is magnesium deficient. So lack of magnesium, it affects a lot of things, anxiety, muscle cramps, the list goes on. But there's definitely a link between a lack of certain things. When I was also trying to recover, I was doing a lot of juicing. I was drinking a lot of wheatgrass. I was growing my own organic wheatgrass and having shots of wheatgrass that just oxygenates the blood. So you'll feel that you're not getting enough oxygen in. You have a shot of wheatgrass. A lot of people don't like the taste of wheatgrass. It tastes like freshly cut grass, but it oxygenates the blood. It's really, really good for you. And you can mix that with apple juice. But I promise you, you have that every single day and you start feeling that you've got a lot more energy and you just detoxify your body. That's also what you put in your body. It also helps. So I say in a lot of videos how much cellulite I had on my arm because of all the toxin buildup, because lack of blood flow, everything starts accumulating. And it was like this big swollen arm and it was blue and numb and it just started looking weird. So I started drinking lemon water. Lemon water also helps flush the body, detoxify the body. And that actually got the swelling down in my arm, got rid of the cellulite in my arm. It's crazy. The things that you put in your body really affect you. So I was eating at the beginning of TOS, I was eating a lot of junk food. And obviously you start feeling that and you don't recover as well. So when you start putting fresh things in your body and natural things, you start feeling a lot healthier. When you get rid of the deficiencies like magnesium, calcium, taking omega 3s and 6s, definitely a multivitamin. You just got to look after your health a lot more when you've got issues like this, and just stretch and recover. Um, I say recover, it's not that easy, but if you take those steps, it takes time. I mean, it's taken me 4 years now, on and off, and in between those 4 years, I've learned and I've studied, and I've helped so many people along the way. And obviously, not everything helps everybody the same way, but I can tell you that a lot of people that I've helped are doing things that they never did before. A lot of people are back to doing weightlifting. A lot of people are back to doing things that they used to do. I'm back to boxing. My previous video you can see how hard I'm hitting now. And I promise you, before TOS, all these other muscles, my QL, I couldn't twist as far. Obviously, had the instability in my shoulder blade already, and it builds up, and you just don't get stronger and stronger until something like this happens, and you start working on all these other things. You feel a lot looser. So now I'm back to boxing. I mean, when I started my TOS, I couldn't hold a pencil, and as I said in that video, it's really surprising for me that I'm boxing and hitting much harder now than I was before TOS. When I had my TOS, I never ever thought that I'd box again. I honestly thought that because I started feeling a bit better, and I went to weight training and I was using these light weights, and my shoulders just flared up. And from there, I was in the house for 4 months. I couldn't do anything, and I was going from doctor to doctor. As you know, it's like a TOS shuffle where they just like the doctor sends you here, sends you there, and you're going for scans and different opinions, and nobody really knows what's going on with you, and you think you're going crazy because you've got this pain and this tightness, but nothing is showing up, and you can't explain how you're feeling. So I found this one picture the one time. It's a perfect representation of TOS. It's basically a sword running through your brachial plexus into your armpit, into the lower part of your body and out the bottom, because it's so tight and it's so painful. It feels like this object that shouldn't be in your body is there. So I hope this helps everybody. I hope I get more questions. You can contact me on Instagram or Facebook. I've got a Muscle Minds Work page on Facebook, or you can contact me on Instagram. Uh, all the links are in the descriptions of all my videos. But the amount of people that I'm helping in all these groups, it's turning around, because before I was pushed to the side and everyone was like saying what I'm talking about is nonsense because their doctors are telling them something else. And now it's come to a point where a lot of people are taking my video, showing it to the doctors, and doctors are agreeing and saying, okay, because they don't understand thoracic outlet syndrome properly unless they're a qualified doctor in TOS. All these little things are helping the doctors learn more. The more awareness, we all learn a bit more, because it's very depressing when you're stuck at home and you don't know what's going on with you and you're going from doctor to doctor. It's really, really, it's tiring, it's draining. You feel depressed, you feel alone. The amount of people that I phoned in America from South Africa when I was struggling just to find answers, because I thought nobody here knew about it. Maybe some specialists there would know about it. And even when you speak to the right people, you feel like you're not getting anywhere. They're just telling you the same thing: to get your top rib cut out, to relieve compression. But there's so many issues that come along with that as well, and secondary surgeries, and the list is endless. And even after surgery, you're still not fully recovered. There's still things and muscle weaknesses and tightness. So there's a lot of things to work on, whether you're having surgery, whether you're deciding if you want to have surgery or not. Work on all these other things slowly, carefully, rolling on a ball. Little things like that I still do on a daily basis. I go into a door frame and I lean on it and just push my shoulder blade and soften up those tight muscles if I'm having a little bit of a spasm in one of the muscles, and I think, okay, it feels a little bit tight today. Loosen it up and it feels okay. And I can still do whatever I want to do. I don't have this severe compression or color change in my arm or lack of pulse. I had no pulse in my arm. There was literally nothing. And the doctors were worried that I wasn't getting enough blood flow because it was totally blue. So it's not like I didn't have any struggles. I had severe struggles from all those times. And I was at my lowest point in my life, basically, when I was laying on the floor, so depressed. I didn't know what to do anymore. When I finally got some muscle back, I was playing GTA just to feel like I was walking outside. I say this in one of my other videos, because I was cooped up in my own house, in my own head, stuck in my own thoughts. And I was at my lowest point, and I decided I'm not living like this. I'm going to get myself right. And that's exactly what I've done, and helping other people. And it's a great feeling when you can help somebody else that's feeling the way I was feeling, and they're feeling great today and doing stuff that they could do before. So I'll do a few more live streams in the future. I'll set up times. I'll do a proper setup so that we can get as many people watching as we can. But I think I'm going to end that today, and I hope it helps a lot of you. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe. Please like the video. Subscription is free. That's one thing that we've been thinking of. I've been chatting to people. When you think of subscribe, you think it's a fee or you're paying something. Subscription is free. So you just click the red subscribe button down below. All that means is that you can see my channel more easily. And when I do a new video, if you click the bell, you'll see that it notifies you when there's a new video. It doesn't mean that you're going to pay anything. It's entirely free. All it means is that you're going to find my channel a lot easier. You'll see new videos, new content, and yeah, you'll be updated regularly. When there's a new live stream, if you are subscribed, you can subscribe at any time. So you just click the subscribe button, and it's not like you're tied into anything. When you subscribe, you'll see the latest live streams come up, and it'll pop up and warn you before the time. So if you have any questions, get them ready. And then when the next live stream goes up, or the next one of my next videos, just comment there and I'll add it to the live stream, like the questions we did here today. And then we can all keep up to date and all answer each other's questions, and we can share stories and experiences. But yeah, I'll see you guys soon.